Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening to everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lewis Sports Network. It is your boy Lewis coming right back at you with another heavy hitter banger with yet another live stream video. Make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notifications is turned on. Make sure that you're sharing the stream on Reddit and make sure you're sharing it on your social media outlets. Truly appreciate it. Wonderful news, ladies and gentlemen, for basketball fans who have been waiting. The NBA will make its return on July 31st, according to reports. The NBA is going to return on July 31st, according to reports. And once again, before we get started, let me know how everybody is doing. Hope everybody's doing well. Shout out to the LSN Mod Squad. You already know how it is. Let me just check in the comment section real quick. So we have shout out to Steve, who's actually the first one in here. He said, I don't know about y'all, but I don't think it's really worth it to do it now. Well, it is what it is. To be honest with you, I'm actually going to give my thoughts on it in a second. Jay says, if it's worth it. Give LeBron the opportunity to win. If he doesn't do it, then the GOAT talk is going to die down. All right. G Money says, I meant to say, how are you doing? And he says that the NBA isn't Disney. Wow. Yeah. Shout out to Ryan in the building. He says, what's good? Hopefully we can get some more people to continue to come to the live stream. And again, appreciate everybody coming through. We got 6 people watching. We have 8 likes already. So let's continue to get the likes and the views up. And hopefully we can get some new subscribers to the Lewis Sports Network. So once again, I said it according to reports. The NBA is returning. They are coming back to Orlando. They are going to Disneyland. So yes, that will be your slogan. And shout out to Joel Hayward. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share this on your social media and make sure you share this on Reddit. So yes, your slogan is going to be whoever wins the NBA championship this season, they are going to Disneyland. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. To people in the chat, what do you guys think about this? I know Steve said that he doesn't think that it's the right time. I'm actually gonna tell him why I don't think it's the right time. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like, what do you guys think about the NBA actually returning? And we're gonna get into further details, in a second. Ryan says that means if the season resumes and LeBron wins, he's the GOAT. If he loses, whoever wins is going to be an asterisk. Yeah, I mean the narrative is going to change. You already know the narrative is going to be changing with that one. G Money says I honestly wish the NBA was in Vegas because it kind of feels like if the Magic are hosting the entire 2020 playoffs because teams will be in Orlando. Well, I mean the Magic are in the playoffs, so I mean, if they weren't in the playoffs, then I don't think it would have honestly felt that way. But because they're in the playoffs, I understand what you're saying, though. Um, but hey, this is good for the fans of Orlando because you get to see these NBA players in Orlando, including their own team right now, currently in the playoffs. Um, so let's continue. Ryan says he shouts out to G Money. He says, "What up?" And then shout out to Joel as well. Again, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for the Lewis Sports Network. Okay, so now getting to the format. So according to the NBA, by Adam Silver and the league, and I got this news on Bleacher Report, that it's going to be 22 teams. And from what I'm hearing, it's 13 teams in the West and 9 teams in the Eastern Conference. They're all the teams are going to play 8 games, the last 8 games of the season. So they actually cut. So originally teams had anywhere from 19 to 18, maybe even 17 games left, but they are changing it to now 8 regular season games. I have to see how the schedule looks like because it probably was going to be the next 8 games for these NBA teams. And remember, Memphis was supposed to have a difficult schedule, but now I could see them maintaining their playoff spot just for the fact that their schedule isn't going to be as difficult because they have 8 games. They also have had all that time to rest. Jay says there's no asterisk. There's a possible play-in, like I was talking about a few weeks ago, which they are going to implement now. NBA players will be detracted by current events and not focusing on basketball. I am happy it is back, but I honestly think they should have brought it back early to mid-July because they don't want to interfere with the NFL. Here's the thing, to be honest with you, here's the thing, to be honest. I'm not a fan of the fact that it's even starting the 31st. They could have started it earlier. They could have, but to me, if they would have did that, I mean, they have the information, man, but it's like I don't think they was gonna do that, to be honest with you. Uh, the weird thing is, I just think the fact because they were out this long, I really feel like that they really never should have started earlier neither, because in my personal opinion, they should have started a lot later, which to me tells me that they honestly should have canceled the season. And here's why I'm saying that. The reason that they're doing this now is with the interference of the NFL, what's happening is that college football is hot during September, and they usually start late August. Then you also have football that's going to dominate in September. I know Jalen Rose tried to make excuses like, oh, it's the start of the week. They only play 3 times a week, and I don't think it's really that big of a deal. You could squeeze the NBA in there. To be honest with you, most people are not really going to be paying attention to basketball during that time. And to be honest, they said, and I'm gonna get into details with that, but let me just continue looking at the comment section. Shout out to Winona. No fans are going to be in the arena. Yeah, that's pretty much the plan. So these players are quote unquote to be in quarantine, and I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some really strict testing. Joel says if the Lakers don't win the chip, I don't want to hear any more excuses. But there's going to be one. That's why I'm just pushing that to the side. I already know there's going to be excuses regardless. I already know. Yeah, fanless games, it's going to look weird. Yep. And remember, folks, they're going to be experimenting this for the 2020-21 season. The media will still heavily favor what's been going on about the riot than the NBA. That's just my personal opinion. G Money says big time, but 3-6 Mafia will blame the hiatus. Again, whatever narrative they choose to, it's going to happen. Shout out to Karam, man. True support. Appreciate you. Love Lewis. Adam Silver is the GOAT. All right. Technically. Juanetta says Disney's going to be more contained than Vegas. That's why I said that Vegas wasn't a good idea, because even though Vegas is okay, and the reason that G Money doesn't like the idea that it's in Vegas is because he's going to feel like the Magic are going to really host the playoffs. But then if they leave early, then ask yourself, did they really host the postseason? Because it would make it seem like if the Magic are one of the better teams in the NBA. And the thing is, the Magic, they have some talent, but they're just inconsistent. They lack depth. They're not as good defensively as they were last year. They really lack a lot of scoring. And some of their players are very inconsistent. Shout out to Johnson Johnson. Appreciate you. Says, yo, appreciate it. It looks like a summer league tournament. Oh my goodness, you read my mind, Karan. You read my mind. You absolutely read my mind, because that was the first thing I said when I'm thinking about an empty arena and you're coming to Disneyland. Because if you think about it, summer league is usually played where? Orlando and Vegas. Orlando and Vegas are usually the 2 summer league spots anyway. So this is going to feel like a summer league. This is going to be like summer league games. And they're going to feel like scrimmages. They're going to feel like scrimmages. What I do wonder is, I wonder if NBA play. See, this is going to be the weird thing. I wonder if NBA players are going to be kind of like some sort of an audience, and they're kind of like distance apart. If NBA teams kind of get involved, I'm wondering if they will do that to kind of have them be the fans. That's just an idea. I'm thinking that Adam Silver might tinker. Who knows? Ryan says, I'm concerned about the following season, how it will begin when this year ends. It's true. I don't know how this season is going to, well, and remember, the report is October 12th is supposed to be the last day of the NBA Finals, and that's right in the middle of college football and NFL football season. And I'm a little worried about the ratings of the NBA, considering how much, and the ratings for the NFL, they went up last year. College football makes, obviously their ratings are always up. So when you consider all of that, the NBA to me is going to have a little bit of so the excitement in terms of basketball, I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to say about a month and a half, right up until football starts. And I think when football starts, the NBA is going to get some attention, but it's not going to get as much attention. No excuses for LeBron, says Jay. He got what he wanted. Now he has a great shot to win if he can. Like I said, this is make or break for Bron. They are doing it now because people are all out in the streets now. Yeah, like I said, I just feel like this is all selective agenda, to be honest with you. Everybody's trying to get a control of the situation. The Olympics is out, off season's out, preseason's out, regular season probably be condensed. Yeah, it's going to be condensed. It's going to be 8 games. So it's a 72-game season. And again, shout out to Johnson & Johnson. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel. Show him some love. Next season would and should be around Christmas or so. My worry with that is that if they end in October, I can't see how they start at Christmas. I can't see that. Now, I can see that how it benefits the 8 teams that don't make the playoffs, but I don't, the other teams that are in the postseason, if a team gets knocked off maybe out of the first round, well, remember, because there's going to be a play-in tournament, so I got to see how that works out. But that's not going to give the other 22 teams really enough time to really prepare. What up, Big K? Joel says, every time LeBron loses in the NBA Finals, it's always some lame excuse on how he lost. Ryan says, what's good? What's good? What is up? Smash the like, hit that subscribe, folks. Says, hey, Ryan, Juanetta, wrestling is letting little groups of people come in and be a part of the wrestling action. As a matter of fact, the WWE really copied off of what AEW had already started when quarantine started in place. When will the NBA draft lottery and free agency be? Well, I don't know about free agency, but I do know about the NBA draft. I know about the NBA draft is supposed to be late September, is from what I'm hearing. So the NBA draft is supposed to be sometime late September. The NBA draft, the draft lottery, I believe is going to happen in August. Late August is from what I'm hearing. Now, those things can change, but I don't know. Shout out to Tomoko, says the 9th. In the middle of the playoffs, yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. And I just feel like they don't really have a plan. I was talking about the next season, off season, preseason, regular season condensed. Yeah, that's honestly what's going to happen. Now, if they were to start at Christmas, but to be honest with you, the players are going to need they're going to need a couple of months to be able to rest. So I think that we might see another 1998, 1999 regular season where the season gets condensed, where it starts late. I'm looking at a possible February start. If the season ends October 12th, I'm looking at a February start because they need November, December, and January. They're going to need some time to, recuperate. And, that's how I'm looking at it. And so if you look at the process, remember, 22 out of 30 teams are going to be coming. So your boy Adam Silver pretty much became a Thanos. I call him a Thanos or Ad Thanos. As you can see on the overlay right there, Bradley Beal and Steph Curry, they don't look too good. While James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James are going to be in the postseason because, as you can see, look at Adam Silver. He kind of low-key looked like a Thanos. He could kind of really play one. At least I think so. At this point, it's up in the air of which team is going to really win the NBA championship. But trust me, they got their – listen, man, I feel like low-key the fix is in, despite the fact that they want to say that that's up in the air. We may never see the NBA start in October again, and for now, it may begin around Christmas. Nah, I don't see it starting on Christmas because I just think that that's – like I said, it would benefit the 8 teams that are not in the playoffs. I just don't see it benefiting the other 22 teams that are going to be competing in this tournament. It just doesn't make any sense to end in October and then just start around Christmas time. That just gives them about a month, and then that would quickly put them at training camp unless they eliminate training camp. Like, that's the only way I can see them probably starting if they get kind of like a break to relax and, pretty much try to train and to just get ready. I just think that's a little too soon. I think the players need a little bit more time to be able to start the regular season. That's just my personal opinion because I just don't think that it's a smart idea I feel like more risk of injury is at hand if they were to do that. It's just weird. Ryan says, my opinion is there should not be any awards awarded to players because few awards would not be valid. And in a sense, Ryan, I want you to let me know the awards in the comment section of which ones do you think would not be valid. I still feel like the MVP is valid. It does feel very weird. My opinion is that, oh no, I'm sorry. I read that wrong already. My fault. Um, Winetta says, I feel you on that. Appreciate that, Winetta. Karam says, training camp would start in December. I think that looks much more reasonable. I would say maybe mid December, maybe. I want to say it's probably the more reasonable time. And if not December, then I think January. And I feel like that the regular season will start in February because at least if you end the season in October, early October, give them November, December, and then have them start January. Like that's really my realistic thinking because I think if you just go from October to Christmas, a lot of players are going to be gassed because take a look at it this way. Think of think of think of it as the Olympics. Let's say you went through a grueling season, you win an NBA championship, you decide to play in the Olympics. That's a lot of mileage on your body. Then you have to start training camp in October when you just finish Olympic play. And let's say it doesn't matter if you got bronze or silver or gold. The bottom line is you played extra games on top of what you already played in the regular season, all of last season, and the playoffs. Then you go to Olympics on top of that without really any rest. And you're just practicing, practicing, practicing. It really doesn't make sense from that standpoint because you're going to get some really tired legs and tired bodies by the time the season starts because then they would have to go right into training camp. Just look at Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan when they won Olympic gold. They had to go right into the regular season and they really had no time to rest, which is why they coasted throughout the season until they could get their legs back under them. And then they were able to play better as the season went along and then in the NBA playoffs. And I agree with you, Karam. It does feel weird. It feels very, very weird. Ryan says, hence, man, X most improved, um, coach of the year, and rookie of the year. Well, no, the rookie of the year should be valid because John Morant's been the best rookie already. And I just don't think that Zion could make up 8 games to be the best rookie of the year. Unless if the media pushes him to win that award and he produces some like 30, 20 games for like the last 8 games of the regular season. So but I think the rookie of the year should stay valid. The coach of the year is the award that I could kind of eliminate. I could kind of eliminate that one. And the most improved as well. I could kind of eliminate that one, but I would actually keep rookie of the year because John Morant's pretty much been the rookie of the year from start to finish. And remember, Zion missed damn near 60 games. So John Morant to me is the rookie of the year. But I would get rid of coach of the year and most improved. And I agree with Winetta. Most improved should not be awarded. Definitely agree with that one. Karam has a question for y'all, and he's got a question for me. He says, how did the 1999 lockout go? When did training camp start and the season? I'm going to say this, man. I think, well, when it came to training camp, they started in January. Training camp was actually in January of 99. And the regular season started, I believe, February 6th or February 7th of that year when the lockout happened. And yo, think about that. They went from June, from when the Bulls won the title, all the way to January. So these dudes hadn't played basketball in 7 months. They went 7 months without playing. In this NBA season, the NBA shut down March 12th. The last 2 games of the schedule games from 8 to 10:30 got canceled, right? All the other games had to be finished playing. So from March 11th, if you go from March to July, that would be 4 months of no basketball. But right now, NBA teams are going to be able to use this time to be able to train. So they'll be doing training in their training facilities, so they'll be able to get practice time. But then if you go from March to July 11th, that would be 4 months, and then you add 20 days until the season starts. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, you're talking what? 100, almost 150 days of no basketball. Yeah. No, actually, no. His team is not eliminated from the playoffs. John Morant's Grizzlies are they currently in the eighth spot. They're currently in the eighth spot. So no, he should get Rookie of the Year because he's been the best rookie from start to finish, and the Grizzlies currently hold the eighth spot. I was only three. Wow. Okay, maybe two. I agree, but his team is eliminated. Yeah, no. His team is in there. And like Jay said, Zion lost Rookie of the Year before he started playing. Exactly, because he was out with the meniscus, so he can't make up those games. Ja is the clear-cut Rookie of the Year. Yeah, exactly. I remember the 2011 lockout the most. Yeah, no, I feel you because, like you were saying, it was only three in the 99 season, but the 99 was 50 games, while the 2011 lockout was 66 games. So they played 16 extra games. And I mean, they went nearly 6 months without playing. Actually, they went 6 months without playing basketball in terms of the 2011 lockout. So a lot of guys were not in shape in that 2011 2012 season, just like it was, and that was the case in '99, and ratings went real down that time. The 2012 season started on Christmas, but here's the difference, G Money. The difference between that time and this time is in 2012 there had been 6 months of no basketball. That's why it made sense to start on Christmas. It doesn't make sense to start on Christmas when the NBA Finals last game is October 12th. Doesn't make any sense at all because your players are gonna get risk. You're putting the players in risk of getting potential injuries when you're doing that because that's a lot of mileage on their body, especially with the way that they're proposing this stuff. Ryan says, I look at it like a third win came to Zion to let him catch up to Moron. I mean, that's your personal opinion, and I can understand that. I just don't think that he has enough games to make up for him to win that award. Josh played every single game this season, and Zion's only played 20 games. So I just think that, and it's only 8 games. I think what Zion's case is, he would have had enough games to qualify as a rookie, but not enough games to qualify to win the award. So that's the way I look at it. Um, I don't see them repeating 99. Nobody liked it. That's why I say that Christmas or so, no later than the second week of January. Yeah, and I feel like that they will probably want to stay and be with their families as well, so that that doesn't get interrupted, so that they could honestly just focus on, you know, be with their families, and then they could go away and then start the regular season. So that's why I said that January to me works at best because I still think that December is just a little too soon. You got to give them a couple of months to get back together, to get back. Ryan says, okay, I haven't looked at the standings. Yeah, if you look at the standings, the Grizzlies are currently in the eighth spot. G Money, it was 2011. Well, yeah, no. I think I know what both of you guys are saying. It's really just saying the 2011-2012 season. It started on, and Karam, I think, is trying to say it started on Christmas 2011. But I know G Money's referring to as the 2011-2012 season. I get what you guys are saying. So I'm gonna just clarify it. Shout out to Sam G in the building, man. Appreciate you, and hopefully you've hit the like, and hopefully you subscribe to the channel. But he says, do you think KD is going to come back with this format? You know what? That's a really, really burning question. That's a very burning question that I've been thinking about, with the fact that this thing is back and the Nets are currently sitting at the seventh spot in the East. Uh, and the thing is, you actually give Durant even more time. Uh, I think with the way that this format is, I don't think he should take the chance. The only way that I could see it benefiting Kevin Durant is if Kevin Durant gets reps in so that he could get used to the NBA style again, the NBA game, and then he'd be ready for next year. That's the only way that I would see it benefiting Kevin Durant if he were to come back. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. Them to be able to get their reps in, and then once they get their reps, they get that feel, and then, get ready for the season. Because like I said, because with now the season ending on October 12th, you already know that next season is going to be a condensed season. So I think the benefit of KD possibly coming back, Sam, is if him and Kyrie were to get some reps in. in whatever kind of style of format that they're playing. But yeah, and I agree with Jay as well when he's saying that, because I think by the time that the playoffs come, I think I feel like, to me, KD is playing a chess game. Now, I know what people are thinking, that KD shouldn't risk his health and come back during this time. But if I know Kevin Durant, I think he's going to want to take that chance. I think so. He'll take the chance. And like I said, it'd be good wise for him to get the feel for the NBA game again. And Winetta also makes a good point. If you're going to play him in limited minutes, let him get a feel for the game again. Because the thing is, again, if you were to just put KD in there and there's like, oh, no minutes restriction, like the saying goes, you could do all the training that you want, but it counts on the basketball court, because that's where it counts. It counts on the basketball court. Like the nerves, they're there. The jitters, they're there. You're going to show some rustiness. Ryan says, it seems the NBA will not catch up back to normal. Not with this way. No, I mean, this break they're getting in best shape for Zion, because he will be more prepared than Morant, because Morant in the playoffs and will have to recover after that. So Zion would have a head start next year. Good point. Winetta says, if KD is healthy, he should play in limited minutes. And then Karam says, will there be multiple games on at once starting July 31st? It's going to depend on the NBA schedule. So I have to see what games is Adam Silver and the NBA going to plan to put schedule-wise on that day. So it's going to depend. And I mean, and look, I'm going to be a realist right now. In terms of the NBA, obviously, when there's games, obviously, it's good for the viewership, especially when you're streaming on YouTube, for people who can't see the games, who don't have TVs. If they're working and they're listening on the road, they're looking for something to listen to try to find out. That's the benefit of me doing NBA games, because it's good. Obviously, it's good for the channel. It's good for the viewership. And it's good for people, checking the channel out and stuff. But I'm going to be a realist. I really felt like, because the NBA was so unprepared for this, it really just didn't make any sense to just put those guys back, because then people would have looked at the NBA and called them out and said that they were greedy, that they were looking out in order for their pocket interest. Their conflict of interest is the dinero, the money, to put players in danger, of something even worse, that they would have to cancel the season again. So I can understand why they decided to kind of push it back now to a sense. But in my personal opinion, they really, honestly, I just think that with football season, I'm just a little bit scared of the viewership once it hits September, because I don't know. I feel like in the beginning, it's going to be fine. But also remember, training camp starts for football, and it's the same for NFL and for college. So you obviously have your OTAs, so that's why I honestly think that it's going to be a problem, for the NBA. But I know that they're trying to finish the season in, and so they're just doing what they can, to make sure that this works. So I think that that's what they're going to try to do with this. So, and that's the way you got to kind of see it. So smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for the Louis Sports Network. Now let me get to the article as what the NBA is proposing, and then you guys can comment on in the chat. So it says, the report, the NBA to propose a 22-team restart, Board of Governors call on Thursday. So this is what is expected to be called tomorrow. And Adrian Wojnarowski earlier today had made the announcement through his Twitter account, and he was on that network. I'm not gonna say the name, so I don't want these dudes trying to cancel me just because I mentioned it. That's why they're so idiotic. But so it says, when the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver met with the Board of Governors on a call Thursday, he will reportedly lay out a 22-team format to resume the 2019-2020 season. So it will be 8 games remaining. So teams that played 63 games are going to have a 71-game season, and teams that have played 64 games are going to be played 72 games, unless if Adam Silver tries to tweak the schedule for some teams so that all 22 teams play 72 games. And the purpose of this is for the final 8 games is just to determine seeding. So they cut off 10 games for the rest of the regular season because pretty much everybody had anywhere from 18 to 19 games left. Well, actually, for the Lakers, they're 49 and 14, so they would have 71 games for the season, and the Bucks are 53 and 12, so they've played 65 games already. They would get 73 games, so they would actually get 2 more games on the Lakers if the Lakers are not able to make up ground for the best record in the league. So Adrian Wojnarowski says on his Twitter account, each of the 22 teams are going to play 8 regular season games in Orlando for seeding purposes for the playoffs, sources tell blank. And you guys can fill in the blank. So it says, per Shams of Sharania of the Athletic and Stadium, the new structure is expected to include the 16 teams that would have been in the playoffs when the season was suspended in March, and 6 additional teams with a play-in tournament for the number 8 seed in both conferences. If the 9th seed is more than 4 games behind the 8th seed, the 8th seed earns the playoff spot. So this is the criteria. If the 9th seed is 4 or fewer games behind, then the 8th and 9th are play-in tournament that is double elimination for the 8th seed and single elimination for the 9th. So I'm kind of confused at that. So what is that? So that's really kind of not making sense then. This is a little bit confusion right there. Ryan says, I think when you don't play a long time like KD had and chose not to play, and then whenever they play next year, KD more prone to injury, also by extended waiting next year, you know? KD can't wait too long if his body is ready to try things. He has a lot of things to work through, including recovery. Exactly. If he waits too long, then he's taking a chance to be, to probably injure himself again, because you know how it is with these injuries, trying to get his timing. Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. Shout out to Clay Pro in the building. He says KD is scared. I mean, I don't know. He could be, could not be. Who knows? Karam says Achilles take 9 to 12 months in terms of full recovery time, which is absolutely correct. And KD has been injured since June of 2019. Well, injured May of 2019 and then ruptured his Achilles in June of 2019. And right now we're in June of 2020. So KD has almost got 12 months. So KD would have officially had 1 year removed from that injury. And he's the thing is, he's already practicing too. It's like this doesn't matter if you do or / don't play, return from injury. He's going to be prone to injury. Yeah, he's still going to be. Not that type of recovering after practice and workouts and etc. Sam G says, how would the offseason work? They have 2 months to do free agency at the draft. Well, the thing is, free agency is up in the air, Sam G. And some people are thinking that people are saying that what Adam Silver should do is to do the free agency before the season resumes. I said, but that's kind of the only way that I would see that working is that if players, it's going to be weird to do that because it's like, then they would say, well, players have to sign if they decide to sign with their teams, but you have to wait until the season is over before they can go to their new team. So they stay with their team throughout the summer and then heading into the fall. That's why this is so weird. And I feel like free agency is probably going to happen after October. That's how I think this is going to happen. I doubt free agency is going to happen right now. The NBA draft is going, the weird thing is the NBA draft is going to happen during the playoffs. That's what's weird about this. Shout out to Caden, man, and make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel. That's what's so weird about this whole thing. The NBA draft is supposed to be late September. Now, I think it's supposed to be, let me look at the calendar. I know it's supposed to be late September. Let me see. According to the calendar, if we look, the NBA draft is supposed to be, I believe, September 24th. We're looking at September 24th for, the NBA draft. That's what it's supposed to be looking like for that. That's how it's going to be seen. Um, Ryan says free agency after this season. Shout out to Caden again. Shout out to 6'2" 200 in the building. He says if LeBron loses on his LA super team, does he drop out of your top 10? If Clippers win, is Kawhi top 15 on your list? My list isn't really changing because with Kawhi Leonard, I have to see what he does for the rest of his career. I just think that Kawhi is getting a little too much credit, and I have to see what he does. He just doesn't have enough. He just doesn't have enough for me in the cloud for as of right now. LeBron just doesn't move up. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to really evaluate if I'm going to drop him out of the top 10 or leave him in my top 10. So I'm going to have to wait and see with that. So I'm going to look at the list extensively and really do my research and my homework to see if LeBron still deserves to be in the top 10 for me or he deserves to be out. So that's just one of those wait and see things for me. Anyway, shout out to 6'2" 200. Caden says, when will they do the lottery pick ceremony thing? The lottery pick ceremony is supposed to be in late August. They don't have a definitive date yet, but they're going to do it sometime in late August. So the draft lottery will be late August. And usually the draft lottery is supposed to be, it was supposed to be on May 19th, which is really when the conference finals was going to start for both the East and the West. But because of, this whole thing, it's not even going to happen. So I think that it's going to be, so they're looking at a late August. Clay Pro says low management, right? Appreciate it. Appreciate that. So let me just continue what they're saying, but I'm really confused at that whole 8th and 9th seed thing. Let me read that again just to make sure. So it says that the athletic state and the stadium, the new structure is expected to include the 16 teams that would have made the playoffs when the season was suspended in March, and 6 additional teams with a play-in tournament for that number 8 spot in both conferences. The thing is, there's only 1 seed in the East, and I believe the Wizards are currently 9th, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Let me check out the NBA standings for the 2019-2020 season. And if we look at the Eastern Conference, as I open this up, the Wizards are currently 9th, and they're 5.5 behind the Magic for the 8th and final playoff spot. They're going to have to make up a lot of ground and hope that the Magic lose. The Wizards are at 24-40, while the Magic are 30-35. And the Bulls, from the Hornets to the Bulls, should pretty much, the Hornets are out 7 games with 8 games left. Yeah, they're not making the playoffs. I just don't see it. Everybody else is pretty much out. I just don't know if I give the Wizards a realistic chance, to make the playoffs. I mean, their best bet is that the Magic, if they would have to win all their games, and they would have to hope that the Magic go on their best bet is for the Magic to lose quite possibly 6 of their final 8 games. 6 of their final 8 games. That's their best shot. That is their best shot. If the Wizards could somehow, oh, actually, no, not even because the Wizards would be, if they win all 8 of their games, they would be what, 32-40? And even if the Magic, yeah, the Wizards have very insurmountable odds because they have to pretty much win every game and hope that the Magic lose at the very least. If the Magic get their 31st or 32nd win, all the Magic have to do is win 3 games and they lock that A spot. That's it. But the thing is, they also said, if you look at the article, they said if the 9th seed is more than 4 games behind the 8th seed, then the 8th seed gets the playoff spot automatically. So that's what the Wizards are facing. Their best chance is to be at least 4 games behind. 4 games behind the 8th seeded Magic. At least 4. And currently they're 5.5. They're 5.5. So those are insurmountable odds for the Wizards. And it's like the Wizards are not that good of a team. I would really honestly prefer the Magic to be in there, but hey, this gives them a fighting chance at least to get in there, you know? Uh, LeBron would move out of the GOAT talk forever if he doesn't win with AT. Well, the thing is, he's already not the GOAT. He's one of the greatest, but he's not the greatest. But that's again subjective, everybody's opinion. I think the Pelicans can win the round or two, which I'm gonna get to the Western Conference in just a second. Um, Ryan says, it's funny that haters of Kawhi on load management, people have issues, but with elite players who are injured, or by this case, less games, nobody has issues with that. Well, the reason that they're having issues with Kawhi Leonard is because quite a few reasons. Number one, he helped the Raptors win an NBA championship after being traded from San Antonio all the way to Canada. Number two, they're also mad that he kind of had teams waiting on what he was going to decide with his free agency. Number three, a lot of people were recruiting him to go to the Lakers because he originally wanted to go to LA, and that's the Lakers, before he chose the Clippers. And it was all because of the fact that LeBron James was over there. So you know that when LeBron James is over there, hoping that he was going to get another star with him, to me, that turned Kawhi off. So he started to play chess with the media and decided to take powers into his own hands. And you see how the media calls him. They call him Kaiser Sose. So because they call him Kaiser Sose, a lot of people are not happy with him because they thought that with Kawhi joining, and think of it this way, Ryan, if Kawhi Leonard had joined the Los Angeles Lakers, and let's say that LeBron was there, he would only be there to help enhance his legacy and not his own. And they would only say that LeBron brings players, he can bring players to play with him. So the narrative is going to change. So that's why he gets all this hate, and that's including the load management, because also he missed 22 games last year dealing with the knee, staying out of games and not playing back-to-backs, just so because he's dealing with the degenerative knee issue. So when you factor all of that, that's why they can't stand Kawhi and use the load management. That's all it is. Kawhi is already top 25 for me. Nah, I don't think so. Too high. That's way too high. Teams who are 6 games out from the eighth still have a shot. Ryan says that's a good spot for him. 6. I don't know about that. I'm not seeing it anywhere that the draft is in September. Where did you see this? No, no, no. This is when you type in NBA hoops rumors. If you type in NBA hoops rumors, Sam, there's rumors that the draft will be at around that time. They don't really know. I'm just giving you a day from stuff that I'm reading. If you type in Hoop Central, I think it's NBA Hoop Central or Hoop Rumors, there's a lot of stories. And the thing is, they're not definitive, but I'm just going off of speculation. There's nothing definitive. But from what I read, they're thinking about it. The thing is, it's going to depend on how things move along with obviously training in the facilities and being able to get these games in into the playoffs. That's what it's all going to depend on. So that's what's going to be. Let's see. No, he is not a top 5 player. I've been saying that too long. He is not a top 5 player. He's not. He's not. I've already given my reasons why he's not top 5. So I'm not even going. So you must have him at either 11 or 12. Melo said that Jordan is the GOAT. I mean, he said it. Top 12 makes sense. There's enough help and losses there. Also, Louis added what I said, and you said if Kawhi joined the Lakers and then lose, then LeBron would blame him. He would get blamed. He would get much more blame, especially considering what he was able to accomplish. So because he accomplished that, he would get much more blame. He more than anybody would get much more blame considering this season. Okay, so Vincent Goodwill says that the plan is for the teams to continue their schedule as planned with the next 8 games. If the team is scheduled to play Hawks, Bulls, Pistons. It moves on to the next game on schedule, league sources tell Yahoo Sports. So if we look at the schedule, I'm going to look at the schedule for, let me take an example. Let me look at the Memphis Grizzlies. Let me look at the Memphis Grizzlies. So if we look at the Memphis Grizzlies schedule, the last team that they were supposed to play, let me see, who was it? Let me just check. If they're going by the last 8 games, that would be, so these are their opponents. Their last game was on March 10th, and I did that game, and they lost. Okay, so here's the next game. So their first game would be against Portland. Their second game against Utah. Their third game against San Antonio. Their fourth game against the Thunder. The fifth game against the Bucks. The sixth game against New Orleans. And they have a home and home, so it's a back-to-back. And then they would finish in Boston. That's a really tough schedule for Memphis right there if they were to resume the season. If Memphis was to resume the season, that's their schedule right there. So this is for the 8th seeded Memphis Grizzlies. I remember Brian Windhorst was saying that he felt that was kind of unfair, that, for teams that Memphis kind of feels like it has a chance to kind of lose its playoff spot due to this new format. Winetta says, which NBA officials are the most shady and will mix a game? You know what? I think the best bet in order to do that would have to see who has reffed his games in the past in terms of the many NBA Finals trips that he's taken, or at least the most recent ones that he's done, with the exception of last year, and then see, who would they put in there. I think that would be the more interesting thing to look at. Jay says, Melo isn't going to put LeBron as the GOAT. LeBron would have to be able to beat Melo. I don't believe that's ever been done once. When they were younger, it was almost no match. To be honest with you, with Melo, him and LeBron had only met in the playoffs once, and that was when Melo was a New York Knick. And let's be honest, his Knicks were no match for his 2012 Miami Heat. And imagine blaming him for not delivering a title and not mentioning Kawhi's knee problems, but cries about himself injured because of broken hand in the press conference when that thing was not broken. And I know you meant fix a game for him. I think it's gonna have to be in his past and how many trips he made to the finals. I would just focus on the years that he was in Cleveland, most likely from 2015 to 2018, and you would see which referees were in that game probably the most often. And I think the referees that were most often in those series and throughout those 4 years before he missed the playoffs last year, you could kind of bet on being those referees, during those games. I can't stand Tony Brothers. That dude is so biased when it comes to his officiating. I cannot stand Tony Brothers. He's one of the referees I do not like. All right, let me continue reading to see if there's any more. Yes. Okay, so it says Charania noted that the proposal was drawn based upon feedback, collaborative discussions, and input the NBA received from people throughout the league. Per ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Thursday's Board of Governors call will begin at 12:30 p.m., etc. Eastern time. I said etc. Eastern time. And the intention is to approve the 22-team restart plan. Now, they could go against it, but I think that it's going to be approved, obviously, so I'm not even going to go against that. So it says Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne reported on May 29th after a Board of Governors called that there was growing support for a season restart with 22 teams centralized at Disney's blank Wide World of Sports complex in Orlando, Florida. Now it also says Charania noted that the league discussed 4 different return scenarios, which I had kind of briefly said about during the call last week. 2 of them, one that would skip right to the playoffs, which to me just didn't make any sense, with the top 8 teams in each conference, and another was to bring back all 30 teams. That really didn't make any sense, to finish a 72-game regular season. what I would have done personally was do the last 8 regular season games and then go into the playoffs with the traditional 8-8 format with the 16 teams. I would have done it like that, but that's just me personally. I don't know what you guys think. To finish a 72-game regular season with a play-in tournament recently lost traction. Oh no, one-on-one, yeah. Melo always gave LeBron the business, Jay. Melo shoots the ball well against LeBron, especially when LeBron in the games that he's played against him, and the times that Melo has guarded LeBron has guarded Carmelo. Melo has some pretty good numbers, and I believe he's had a couple of game winners against LeBron. I remember a regular season game in 2010. He caught a game winner on him when LeBron was still in Cleveland, and that was Melo's pre-year to the Knicks, forcing the trade out of Denver, along with James Dolan pressuring Donnie Walsh. Do you think the Suns and Spurs should have came back for the season? Hornets are 7 games back of the Magic from the eighth seed. The Suns are 6 games back, and the Spurs are 4 games back from the Memphis Grizzlies. If we go to the Western Conference, I really don't understand why they had the Phoenix Suns come back. Because if they were going to do that, well, the thing is, if you eliminate the reason they did it to kind of even out, because the Suns, they're 6 games out and there's 8 games to play. The key thing is going to be the losing streaks. So if you look at it, those teams honestly still have something to play for, which is crazy. I don't think the Suns are going to make it. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Spurs are going to make it, but they have more of a realistic shot than the Phoenix Suns do. And they did 22 teams. And the crazy part is that the East is, to me, pretty much locked up from seeds 1 through 6. Nothing's really been determined in the West yet. G Money says, nice suggestion. It's kind of dumb for having the 9th seed with 2 games versus the 8th seed, while the 8th seed has to only win 1 time to basically have a free playoff spot. And I'm just saying it from the perspective of the Eastern Conference. I just say that to finish the last 8 games of the season, and then they just do the traditional 1 through 8 in both conferences. I think that would, for me, make the most sense. I don't know what you guys think. And shout out to Joseph Z-Dub. He says, Colin Cowherd said, it is essential for LeBron to be in the finals due to his value to the league in terms of dollars. Well, that's true because LeBron is the cash cow in the NBA. Don't you think the league will rig the games if he's that important? Yeah, they'll do it. I have no question. And the way that they'll do it is putting the referees that have reffed his games before. And shout out to Winetta who asked the question. And shout out to Joseph Z-Dub for coming in. Again, guys, make sure you smash the like and hit the subscribe button as you guys come in. It is the Louis Sports Network. And Joseph, you made a great point. And the thing is also the media is pulling for him to win because they're really pushing this. They're pushing this. They're pushing his MVP award, and they're doing all that. So I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised. Whatchamacallit, add on what you said. You can say the top playoff teams, example, both LA teams that play each other multiple times back to back heading into the playoffs should not play, just sit out. And you're kind of looking at it from this aspect, kind of like as that they kind of get like a first round bye or something like that. Is that what you're looking at? Because that would kind of look like football terms. Are you talking about teams or are you talking about players? Are you really thinking of just more about teams? Thinking. I agree. They should just finish the 8 regular season games and just move on to the playoffs, like you said. Because I remember originally it was like they should just go straight to the playoffs. I just said that it would have been bad because of the whole chemistry thing, and I think that would have been bad because then a lot of teams would have been rusty, and I don't know how teams would have performed. So I just thought that that just didn't make sense from a few standpoints. I said if they get the 8 regular season games, because remember, G Money, they hadn't played, and shout out to the lowly one. They hadn't played in 4 months. So I just think for them to just go straight wouldn't have made any sense, which is why I said as long as you get the 8 regular season games in, all the teams can get their reps, all of the teams can get their chemistry. Because remember, chemistry is so important. But I think that the whole NFL thing would have worked if they go to that 16 playoff format. Because I'm wondering if the NBA is going to go to a 16 playoff format if they finish the regular season, and which I think that's what they're going to do. Because originally what they were having was that they were going to have a pool like FIBA and put them in different groups, kind of like what they did with the Olympics. That was the original idea. I think it was with 20 teams. I think that's the original idea for what they had. You know, that's the way that it was being looked at the time. So let me just continue reading over here. It says, according to Wojnarowski, the 6 teams not currently among the top 16 teams that will play in Orlando include 5 Western Conference clubs, New Orleans, Portland, Phoenix, Sacramento, and San Antonio, and the Washington Wizards in the Eastern Conference. The Trailblazers, Pelicans, Kings, and Spurs were all within 4 games of the Memphis Grizzlies for the number 8 seed. And if we go back to the NBA standings, the Grizzlies currently hold the 8th spot at 1 game under 500. I feel like they would have been more games up had it not been for that trade, because it really hurt their chemistry and they had to adjust their team with losing the players they lost. The Trailblazers are 3.5 out at 29 and 37. The Pelicans are 3.5 out as well at 28 and 36. Trailblazers are up by percentage points on the Pelicans. They're just up by a tenth. The Kings have the same record as the Pelicans at 28 and 36. The Spurs are 12 at 27 and 36, which would put them, actually, that would put them 1.5 games out. No, I'm sorry. My mistake. I'm looking at the Trailblazers. They're 1.5 out from the 9th spot. But in terms of they will be they're 4 games out of the 8th and final playoff spot. And the Phoenix Suns are 6 games out. You know, as G Money mentioned in his comment. And Winetta says they are pushing because they want another MJ cash cow, but it's only one. Look, I'm going to say this, though. I think when you look at, so people are really looking at what is it going to be like when LeBron retires, when he's all said and done. I think in terms of revenue, the NBA is going to be hurt a little bit because they're going to be looking for that next one that can carry the league. From an organic standpoint, though, they have a lot of talented players. Now, my question is going to be, once he leaves, who's going to be the new face of the league? Who do you think has those credentials, and they have the game, and they have the personality to say that they're going to be the face of the league for years to come? So that's going to be the question. Who's going to carry the league once LeBron is gone? Ryan says, or the NBA should go to a college basketball tournament style. Well, I mean, that would be the 1 through 16, format. The 1 will go against the 16. Colin had made that essential before. Ryan says, exactly, Mrs. Thomas. Facts. The Hawks, the Knicks, the Warriors, Cavs, T-Wolves, Pistons, Hornets, and Bulls have gone fishing early. Yeah, I mean, it just really didn't make sense to bring all 30 teams because, honestly, what are those teams really put? Well, they were trying to make a case for the Atlanta Hawks, and this is what I'll have to say. Nobody wants to see the Knicks. They're just flat out bad. The Warriors are pretty much tanking, so I just think it doesn't make any sense, especially even with Steph. There's no Clay. I know people want to see him play, but there's no. The Hawks, it would be good for Trae Young's experience, but again, the Hawks, they just don't have enough. Nobody wants to see the Cavs. The Timberwolves have some young players, but they're not really that good. Detroit is just a hot mess with the way that they built their team. The Charlotte Hornets, we already know about MJ. He just doesn't know how to build. He really doesn't know how to build a team. And the Bulls, They're just pretty much the Bulls have pretty much been bad, and they have injuries of their own. So that's why it really doesn't make sense to bring those teams back. If they wanted to try out the interconference playoffs, then this year was the year. Well, considering what happened, yeah, because remember, they tried to do it 2 years ago. Adam Silver brought that idea. LeBron didn't want that. It was amazing to me how quickly LeBron responded when they considered that idea. He said, "No way, that's not gonna happen. Like you're not gonna mess with the format." And I'm like, "Okay." So we understand. Again, guys, make sure you're sharing this on your social media outlets, and make sure that you guys are sharing this on Reddit, and make sure you're hitting the like button. And like I said, hopefully we could get some more people. Shout out to Joseph and shout out to Sam G. And I forgot who else came in here. Oh, shout out to also Steve Dyson, who was there much more earlier. Lowly One says, well, the Warriors still have $100 million man Draymond, so they'd be all right. True that, right? True. That's the NBA's mistake because they should have marketed all of their players like they did in the 80s. Yeah. And I feel like that's the mistake that they did with LeBron. They just only marketed him. At least even with Jordan, even though he was the cash cow, they marketed the other players pretty solid in the 90s. The 80s, obviously, arguably had the greatest cream of crop of players that played when it comes to the modern era. That's why they were marketed so well. We should have Ryan says we should have teams that don't make it have their own playoffs. You know what? They should honestly kind of do like an NIT. If they were going to do a college basketball format, they could do the 1 through 16 and have the teams play kind of like an NIT tournament, at least that way. So I think that would give a chance for the teams that they watch, give them a chance to watch their teams play. You know, maybe it might not, maybe it sounds like something boring and nobody would watch, but I think at least for the fans that haven't seen basketball and the teams that they represent, I think it'd be good for them. Jay says none of those teams catch your eye for the playoffs. No. At least the good thing is that we won't have to see trash teams tanking for the rest of the season. Yep. Those teams were killing our TV ratings because they were horrible to watch. The Hawks and the Bulls were horrible to watch, but they had chemistry. Oh, but they had bad chemistry. I mean, the thing is, some of these teams have talent, and I was talking about, and shout out to the sports critic. I'm gonna do that video tomorrow about the Orlando Magic, and I was telling to him about the importance of a player that they should really get to really bolster their team. And I'll mention him tomorrow. I kind of mentioned him when I was on his stream. No, on Alex Sports' stream. And shout out to Alex Sports as well. When I was there, I was telling them that I told them who I think they should, put. And to me, it makes a lot of sense considering how it works. The Bulls need to get rid of their idiot coach. Beyond that, they need new people in the office. They need new people in the office upstairs. They need they need a front office fix, along with the fact that they need to get rid of their coach. And the thing is, obviously, they need to get Laurie Markkinen back. He was being very inconsistent right before he got injured, so he has to get back to the way he played before. And the Bulls, they just need to add some pieces, players that can complement Zach LaVine. If they can do that, I honestly think that would be good. It would definitely be good for them to be able to do that. Uh, Jim Boylan doesn't fit with the Bulls. They should get a coach like a David Blatt or Mar Jackson. David Blatt, I think, probably could be the best fit for that team. Probably. Also, they need to revamp their front office. Yeah, that's the thing. They have to. Their front office is atrocious. John Paxson has not done that great of a job in the front office, and it's such a dysfunctional organization that they've allowed those guys to get away with for years. Because they honestly, if they would have revamped their stuff a long time ago, this wouldn't have been happening. The Bulls probably could have been making some moves. Lewis, who the Magic would have to give up for that player would be worth it because he isn't worth that much. Yeah. And you have to look at it this way. The Detroit Pistons they're not good. They're not good. They have to find a way to get rid of Blake Griffin, but he makes too much money on his contract. I've been very disappointed with Blake Griffin's career. I thought that he would be a pretty good player. I'm not saying your best player on a championship team, but I thought he would be like a monster, kind of like an AE type, somebody who would like impose his will and be dominant in a game. He's only shown flashes, but he can't stay focused. He's very inconsistent. One game he'll look like one of the best players in the league if he was a top 10 to top 5 player, and then the next minute he just disappears. Blake Griffin is a very good magician. Maybe he could have played for the Magic because he does a lot of disappearing acts. And no disrespect to the Magic, I don't mean that literally about Orlando. I just mean in terms of the reference to Blake Griffin because he can be a magician. Puts on a lot of disappearing acts. And he's also had a couple of character issues too, as funny as I think he is. Winetta says, the free agency is good for star players, but it is hurting the NBA and not being able to spread the talent and build teams like they did the Bulls and the Pistons in the 80s. Well, remember, more parity in the league creates more competition. And I feel like that it would get a lot of teams, fan bases to get invested in their team and invested in the NBA. And I think from that standpoint, it would be good. So I think Winetta, what you're trying to pinpoint, and I think it's like, I think it would be good for from a marketing standpoint, because I think it could bring excitement throughout the league. But instead, they just cater to the star players because that's what's making the money right now, and that's what the NBA not only markets but what they focus on. Ryan says, low key get it, low key ha-has. I know, but can't knock a brother for trying. Since Grant Napier had the All Lives Matter tweet, we won't hear his "if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball" catchphrase anymore when doing Kings games. I noticed I botched that Marvel Stories brother's name. um, Not the Detroit player, the other one you mentioned. Wait, remind me who I mentioned. I think I just forgot who I mentioned. My bad. May says, sorry, I didn't get the notification. When you hit 800, you're going to celebrate? Yeah, sure. Of course. I really want to celebrate when I get to 1K. So my like real celebration is going to be 1,000. But I could definitely throw an 800 celebration. By the way, do you remember when I first found your channel? How many subs did you have? I don't remember, but I know it was small. It was not that big. It was not that. I mean, I'm still pretty small to be honest with you. Like compared to the beast of YouTube, I'm not even close to where they're at. I would say I've had like a slow growth, but like I said, I'm not worried about that. I believe that I'm gonna grow. It's just a matter of just believing in what I do and continue to provide the content, for you guys, and you guys just continue to spread the awareness of the channel, and then you guys also, continue to like the videos, and I know that there'll be people who listen, and that should be what I'm focused on, and that's really what I should care about, honestly. So the key thing is when you're doing this YouTube stuff, you got to believe in what you do. And like I said, it took a little bit of time, but slowly but surely getting better. Hey, for sure. We get an 800 celebration hat, and then we get 1,000 celebration hat. Like I said, I'm really gonna party once we hit that 1,000. It's gonna be crazy. Okay, so in continuing uh, of the article, okay, that was just a little weird what just happened. But anyway, the Trailblazers, Pelicans, Kings, and Spurs were all within 4 games of the Grizzlies, right? For the number 8 spot in the West when play was suspended. The Wizards were 5.5 games behind the Orlando Magic for the final playoff spot in the East. Now, my question is this. No strip is funny. Nah, you good, Ryan. Yeah, it's all good, bro. Uh, or toggle the bell or re-subscribe and hit the bell. Any of those three fix the notifications. And we should all hop in the call. I will definitely do that. Technically, the NBA Finals will kind of feel like an extended Super Bowl because it will be in a different and neutral site. Yeah, it'll feel like a Super Bowl because it's not going to be a home or away game. It's going to be an away game for both teams. There's no fans, so it's going to feel like a scrimmage, honestly. And let me say this, and shout out to Karam who says he's back. We got 9 watching. We got 13 people liking the video. Let me ask you a question. For the 8th spot in the Western Conference, who do you want to see in the playoffs? And for the Eastern Conference, would you rather see Orlando or would you rather see Washington in the playoffs? The key thing for this season to happen again, like to come back fully, they have to make sure that everything is safe. And I know that they're going to be on their protocol for them to make sure that the season returns safely and people are able to, make sure that they can do this in according to what they're trying to do. May says, you're going to hear my 11-year-old squeaky voice, but I'm so glad that the NBA is resuming. I've had nothing to do. I hear you. I definitely hear you. A lot of people in quarantine have had a very difficult time dealing with the fact that there's been not just no NBA, but no sports. The NFL looks like it's pretty much on schedule with what they're doing. Same thing with college football, because if you guys remember, their seasons start late August to September. Well, the NFL September and college football late August. So they were fine at the time that, this situation happened. While basketball was cut short and baseball was supposed to start March 26th, but they got derailed. Japanese baseball is happening currently right now. They had to cancel the Olympics. NHL got suspended, but they're coming back with a 24 playoff format. So they've actually tweaked some things themselves because they're trying to finish the season. And again, everybody's doing this for the sake of money. For the sake of money. Excuse me. Says Mays says Washington. Ryan has got Orlando and Memphis. I think if the NBA does it right, it will have very high ratings based off of the Last Dance ratings. And let's remember this too. Players are going to want to play hard after watching The Last Dance because they saw MJ and we got to see that little small clip of Kobe in episodes 5 and 6. G Money says, I want to see the Grizz get in because I felt they would pose the biggest challenge to LA and they would play hard every night. I'd rather see the Magic because they have enough talent to hang with the Bucks. The NBA keeps me alive. Baseball and basketball are about to happen for me. Got to practice that crossover. Well, baseball is right now in a very, very, very big conundrum in terms of if they're going to start the season because baseball, they gave out a 114 game proposal and the Players Association, they turned it down. The MLBPA, they turned that down. The players don't even like the fact that their salaries are going to get reduced. So baseball's in a really tough spot. In terms of who do I want to see in the playoffs in terms of the 8th and final playoff spot, with all due respect to some of these teams, I feel like Portland has been disappointing, even though they want to say that they give the Lakers the best shot just because they have Damon Carmelo. But I really don't see the Blazers really doing that much against LA personally. I feel like that's a 4 or 5 game series. Phoenix, that's a 4 game sweep if they were to get in somehow, but they're not getting in. San Antonio, they have a realistic shot. I just don't see them getting in. The Pelicans, to me, are the most intriguing team. I feel like them. Sacramento is a little bit of a wild card. to go against, Memphis for that last playoff spot. Now, let me go and look at the schedule of the New Orleans Pelicans for the eighth and final playoff spot. But it's looking really, really glim right now. I don't know why I typed in New Orleans Saints when I was talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, according to NBA.com, shout out to NBA.com, let's go to March. They were supposed to play on March 11th against the Kings. So when their game resumes, they're actually going to play Sacramento in Sacramento. So they'll be on the road. Then they're going to be at Utah. They're going to be at the Clippers. So they got 3 tough games at the start already for New Orleans. Then they're at home. So they have 3 straight road games. And actually, if you count the road game where they won against Minnesota, that would have been 4 road games. So they have, again, Sacramento, Utah, and Clippers. Those are not going to be easy. Then you have Atlanta, San Antonio. They play Memphis. They got Sacramento again, and then they got Memphis again. So when you consider those last 8 games, New Orleans doesn't really have it easy neither. So the Pelicans don't really have it easy neither. The only teams that they really have that are easy are going to be the Knicks and the Hawks. The other teams the other 6 teams that they play are difficult because the Kings are fighting for a playoff spot. The Jazz are the 4th seed. The Clippers are the 2 seed. The Spurs are fighting for a playoff spot, and Memphis is holding on to that 8th and final playoff spot. And the crazy part is, in the last 8 games, the Pelicans play the Grizzlies and the Kings twice. So we'll get to see Ja Morant against Zion Williamson for 2 matchups. And I know that the media is going to make a build to say who's the real rookie of the year if Zion has this big performance against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is how hard they're pushing them. This is how hard they're pushing him. Now, actually, now that I think about it, the Grizzlies deserve it. Technically, the Magic would have a shot against the Bucks because they would be hosting the entire series at home somewhat. There's no fans. If I would have said there was fans, I could have kind of said that, technically. And we're still practicing quarantine. Mickey, Goofy, and Donald Duck will be in the stands. Pluto is probably pushing it. Facts. Respect for Oladipo and the thumbnail? Oh, yeah, no question. Respect to Indiana. But this is why these guys are like pushing really hard, It's just letting you know. So the Hornets have it difficult. Let's look at Sacramento. Let's look at the Sacramento Kings. Smash the like, hit that subscribe. Sacramento. All right, Sacramento Kings. Let's look at their schedule. I know that they play the Pelicans twice. Let's see who they have. If this baby can just load. Thank you very much. All right, let's go straight to March. So their game was supposed to obviously be against the Pelicans. So they get the Pelicans, they get Brooklyn, they get Dallas, playoff team. Pelicans fighting for a playoff spot like them. Houston, 6th seed currently. The Magic, the 8th seed. The Pelicans, and then they get the Cavaliers. The only real easy team that they have is Cleveland. 4, 5, 6, 7, and Atlanta. Cleveland and Atlanta. So the Kings also have 6 teams that are fighting for a playoff or in the playoffs. Now that we have Sacramento, let's go to Portland. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. If we look at the Portland Trailblazers, according to Portland, Okay, they have Memphis, Houston. That's tough. They have Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota again, Charlotte, Detroit, and Boston for their 8 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, they have 1, 2. See, Portland has 4 winnable games. They got Minnesota twice, and they have Charlotte and Detroit. Those are 4 winnable games for Portland. So they have it easier than New Orleans and Memphis do. Now let's go to San Antonio. Let me go back into the chat before I type in San Antonio. And G Money says, since the lottery teams are pretty much done, we will see the 22 teams play other playoffs or playoff contending teams for the rest of the regular season. Yes. The Grizz will be earning their spot if they can keep it. Ryan says Zion and Morant is like Razor Ramon against HBK for the IC title. Wow. Good reference right there. Dope boys from Sacktown. Yep. And we're talking about the ladder match. Are we talking about WrestleMania 10 or are we talking about SummerSlam 95? Jay says the L would like to see Portland make it. Are you saying it because of Melo against LeBron? And I think it could also fuel that storyline with that whole GOAT comment that Melo made about Jordan. I see it as a storyline. Don't forget that Joakim Noah is on the Clippers. Yep. And they can still sign DeMarcus Cousins because they still have a free roster spot. The only question I have with the Clippers, if they were to sign DeMarcus Cousins, is I got to see how their roles are going to play. WrestleMania 10, the classic ladder match. Got you. Let's see. So let me get to the San Antonio Spurs. Let me get to the San Antonio Spurs real quick. Where is that? There it is. Nope, that wasn't it. There we go. So now let's go to the San Antonio Spurs schedule. So we got them. So according to their schedule, let's see how difficult they have it. So Portland has 4 winnable games. Okay, so they right off the bat start with the Denver Nuggets. Saturday, they're in a back-to-back and they play Minnesota. So that's a winnable game, Minnesota. Then they got Memphis, then they got New Orleans. That's going to be tough. They got the Bulls, that's another winnable game. They got the Jazz back-to-back, and then they got the Timberwolves, and then they got the Nuggets. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So fortunately for them, they faced the Timberwolves twice, and they have the Chicago Bulls. So that's 3 winnable games for the Spurs. And then finally, you have the Phoenix Suns. I really shouldn't look at them anyway because I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I'm going to look at them to see if there's any losing streaks, and they could probably creep up. So let's look at Phoenix, for example. Let's check them out. So according to Phoenix, smash the like and the subscribe. So they start with Dallas, Minnesota, that's winnable. LA, they got Dallas again. They got Indiana, they got Washington, they got Philadelphia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then they end at Miami. The only winnable games that they have are Minnesota and Washington because Dallas will be tough and they play them twice. They have Philly. Maybe Philly's winnable just because how weaker they are, especially with the whole Simmons and B situation. So they probably have 3 winnable games. I'm going to say 3. But the other 5 are difficult for them too. So when you look at Portland actually has the best chance to get into the 8th and final playoff spot when you consider all the other teams. Now let's look at the Eastern Conference. If we look at the East, let's do Orlando. since they're in the 8th and final playoff spot. And then we'll look at Washington, and we end up with that one. Okay, let's go to the schedule. Let me go back into the chat. Many possibilities if Portland makes it. Russell Westbrook is the rock because of the attire he wears going to arenas. And Ashley Russell's attitude is like SESA and attire of the ROCK. In other words, Stone Cold and The Rock. Undertaker is LeBron and KD is Kane. You think LeBron is a phenom? I don't know if they've ever called have they called LeBron a phenom? Maybe they did when he was in Cleveland in his early years when he came in. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. I'm just honestly thinking about it. Okay, so now let's go back to the schedule of the Orlando Magic. Yes, I know the NBA is postponed indefinitely. Thank you for the notification, but guess what? I found out that they're starting on the 31st, so your notification doesn't mean anything at this point, NBA.com. Besides, you should be excited. Anyway, going to the schedule. Let's go right to March, shall we? Okay, they start with the Bulls. They should win that. They got the Hornets. They should win that. They got Detroit. They should win that. Cleveland. They should win that. Sacramento, Brooklyn, Indiana, and Brooklyn. Now, the last 4 games will be challenging. They realistically have a shot at beating Brooklyn more than they do Indiana and Sacramento. Brooklyn's their best shot. So their schedule is pretty relatively easy. The Pacers obviously are going to be, and the Kings are going to give them difficulties. But their schedule is very winnable for Orlando. That's a pretty easy schedule for the Magic. Now let's look at Brooklyn spot to see if Orlando can actually catch up with them and get that 7th spot. If we look at the Brooklyn Nets schedule, we go to NBA.com. Again, continue to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button for the Louis Sports Network. Surprised that thing just froze like that. That's weird. Undertaker rarely lost, right? Oh, Ryan says no because he keeps going to the finals every year like Taker had the undefeated streak. That's all I meant by comparing this to. Oh, got you. I didn't know you was referring to it like that way. Undertaker really lost, right? Means LeBron can't be Undertaker. Facts. But I see what Ryan was saying from his point. Let me go to Brooklyn. So we got Brooklyn's schedule. Okay, dang. It's funny how they show every team's beginning of the season, but if you go to Brooklyn, they go straight to March. So they have Golden State, they got the Clippers, they got the Kings, they got the Wizards, they got the Celtics, they got the Magic, they got the Clippers, and they got the Magic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Clippers and Kings will be tough. The Wizards are going to be a little bit tough just for that playoff spot that they're fighting for. And Boston is going to look for payback from that loss that they suffered at the hands of them. So the Nets have it a little bit difficult. They play the Magic twice. We'll see. I think the Brooklyn Nets Orlando Magic matchup is going to be crucial for those 7th and 8th spots. I think those are going to be crucial. If Brooklyn ends up playing, or Orlando, I should say, either plays Milwaukee or they play Toronto. And then last but not least, let's look at the Washington Wizards, who are fighting for that last playoff spot. All right, let's look at the Washington Wizards schedule. Again, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for the Louis Sports Network. I'll check in the chat 1 second. Dang, the Brooklyn Nets were the only team that they skipped right to March. Every other team I'm seeing their schedule from training camp all the way to the end of the season. Okay, now if we look at Washington, so when they come back, they play the Boston Celtics. They have the Oklahoma City Thunder. They already got 2 playoff teams. They have Philly, Those are 3 playoff teams. They got Brooklyn, 4 playoff teams to start. They got the Hawks, they got the Bucks, they got the Celtics, and they got the Phoenix Suns. Unfortunately for the Wizards, they might be out of the playoffs only because their best bet is to be at least 3 games below, 3 games away from Orlando to fight for the last playoff spot in terms of a little tournament. But I agree with Ryan. I think for the teams that don't end up making the playoffs, they should just have a little NIT tournament. And so the only real team that Washington is the most winnable that they have really is Atlanta. That's it. Because they got to play the Bucks. All of these teams are in the playoffs, with the exception of the Phoenix Suns, even though they're technically still in it. And it's crazy because Washington's schedule and Washington is fortunate that their schedule got cut off because they played some tough teams after that. They had the Lakers, they had the Bucks, they had the Pelicans, the Sixers, the Pacers, the Raptors, the Rockets, and then they end the season in the last 2 games against the Pelicans and the Pacers. So Washington is really fortunate because they definitely wouldn't have made the playoffs had the season resumed and they played the other 18 games of the regular season. Winetta says, when and where do the teams practice to gear up? I believe the teams have already been told, I think as of late May to like right now, that they're going to be able to practice. I think because right now there's been individual workouts. They're going to have individual workouts. So Nick Wright is Paul Bear. Yes, he is the whiny person. Yes. He said bat by watching your name. HBK is Steph Curry. I honestly think the NBA should have considered moving the season to Seattle. It would have been fun seeing the playoffs again in there. Wait, but why would you put it there though? What I do about Seattle is that they need their own basketball team again. The Supersonics need to come back. But if they do, that means that either they would have to get rid of a team or add another NBA team. And Clay is Marty Jannetty. I'm crying. Draymond is Doink the Clown. Yeah, I can agree with that because he really is a clown. At the very least, that's how I would see it. Nick Wrong is already, it's not remote enough. Exactly. That's why it doesn't make any sense. The best quarantine for these players is Orlando. It's the best. Let's see. Winetta says Nick Wrong already is starting his hate campaign on Kawhi and the Clippers. Oh, yeah. He said this morning, he said that there's no way that the Clippers should be the favorites for the NBA title, that it should be LeBron and the Lakers. And Chris had to check him. And Nick Wright didn't like the fact that Chris checked him. He says that he would love for LeBron and them to win. Of course, you wanted Chris because you were the fanboy. But what he was saying is that he feels that the Clippers are deep and that they deserve their chance at a crack to have an opportunity to win the NBA championship. Now, I picked the Clippers, but again, this is going to depend on who's reffing these games. So it's really going to depend. Because it's about who the sports world wants to see on top, what's going to make the most money in this league, for them, what's going to profit. Again, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for the Louis Sports Network. NBA is returning, 22-team format. Let me ask y'all a question. If you guys, let's say you guys were the board of governors, or if you guys were the commissioner, what do you think would be the best scenario on how to handle this whole situation for not only just the NBA regular season and the NBA playoffs, but the free agency, the NBA draft, and then training camp, and then starting next year? What do you guys think? Well, in the meantime, Ryan says Kawhi is Ron Simmons. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's see. Jay says the Lakers should be the favorites in the West. Should be. That's what I'm hearing. I mean, to be honest with you, they've been saying it all season from the moment that Anthony Davis came in the offseason. So they should be it should be. Juanetta says, I think the Clippers can be marketed well because of the cast of characters on that team. And you're definitely right in your original point in what you were saying. If the NBA really pays attention to the players they have in their league, they can really market them actually the right way. But if the key thing is marketing them the right way. No, it's all good. Maze, Ryan says, I don't know. It's a give or take situation. But really, what would you guys do? All right, so I've already gone to the Wizards schedule. We've looked at the NBA standings. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think we already had a live stream of the NBA playoffs. But what I would like to do in a future video is to do the 1 versus 16 matchup. Jay says, I still have the Clippers until they aren't playing. G Money says, oh, the question I said, Winetta, was is that what do you think if you were the commissioner, like how would you have handled the season of the players coming back, and how would you have done your playoff format, and also how would you have done the free agency, the NBA draft, for this season? I would have moved the players to like New Zealand. See, G Money, you can't do Seattle because that's not remote enough, or non NBA city where teams play that there because it is too cheesy. But why do you think it's too cheesy? Um, I would have done 10 regular season games and then go to the playoffs. He also says, also, I would push the draft to either August or September. Training camp would begin in October. Next, we could do a few preseason games in late November or December. Yeah, the NBA is going to honor George Floyd. I mean, they've already been talking about him, from the moment they passed away. So, and with the protest going on, yeah, they would do that. Juanetta says, I have no clue. I'm not going to lie. I respect that answer because with the way that things have gone, it's very confusing, especially with the format that they just came up with. Also, uh, and Jay makes a great point. He says, G Money, you need to check. You need to check. Hold on a second. Notification. You need to check who's going to be at these facilities. Families are not going to be there until September. It's got to give you a clue. True. Good point. Last, I would have started next season on either Christmas, New Year's, or even on Martin Luther King Day. I think New Year's is kind of, well, no, new teams have played on New Year's, but not a lot of teams play on New Year's. I would have pushed it to more so Martin Luther King Day, considering what the slogan is. I just think it would have been better to see teams in new locations rather than seeing them in the same location. Wait, so what you're saying is put teams in a, hold up, well, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you going to put all the teams in different spots? I just think that's a little bit weird, to be honest with you. It's a little bit weird. Yeah, this is one of those things. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with Maze on that one. I think you're gonna have to explain that a little bit more because, to be honest with you, they're really treating this like college. They're really treating this like college when you consider. And I see I got a notification from Godzilla Suplex, one of my subs, and I'm also subscribed to his channel. So shout out to Godzilla Suplex. And if you guys haven't, he actually put some pretty good content on there. I did not know. I did not know until I actually checked out his channel and I actually subscribed to his channel. So if you guys want, I mean, he does basketball, he does UFC. G Money says, I meant to put teams in non-NBA locations like New Zealand or even Vegas rather than places like Phoenix, Orlando, or etc. Vegas is difficult because it's not, that's also like not quite remote enough. Yeah, that's kind of hard. Well, there isn't going to be social. There isn't going to be there's social distancing with the rest of this season. The question is, how long is it going to be in 2021? G Money, that means safe/social distancing goes out the window. Yeah, yeah, because you have to also remember then what you're going to force is you're going to force travel, and the thing is with travel, you know that you're going to be around people, so you got to think this through. You really got to think this through. People need to just be happy that they're playing and just sit down and enjoy because they could have just canceled it, which is true, which is true. So you almost really can't even say anything true on that. Yeah, the thing is, D's been busy. D's been pretty busy, and the thing is, he's been working, and the thing is, he's mostly been doing boxing, so that's why we haven't really collaborated. And the thing is, also when we collaborate, we do NBA games. Usually, we would be doing this from time to time, and we usually and we've talked about NBA topics when he's been able to come, but that's the reason that you haven't seen me and D. So, but the NBA does return on the 31st, so best believe we will be returning, and we just have to see what the schedule is going to look like on that day, on the 31st. And once we know for sure, then I will definitely give you kind of more of a heads up as to what's going to happen. And you know we're going to be doing the playoffs, so that's going to be fun. Vegas would have, it's not remote enough. Like, even though in terms of people getting sick out there, it wasn't as crazy. It wasn't as crazy as it was over here, in the East Coast. Did you see the All-Star game? What, for 2020? Yeah, I saw it. I really wasn't too impressed with it. What's crazy is that when the players were allowed to play, when they were allowed to actually play defense, they had a hard time scoring the basketball, and a lot of players didn't like it. And I was like, it just shows you, if you're as great as you are, you would thrive no matter what type of defense is being played. No defense, tight defense. I knew the NBA wasn't going to cancel the season because if they really cared less about money, they would have canceled it already. But the thing is, you know what? You're absolutely right. But the thing is, that's all they care about, which means human beings are the last thought. It's all about money. And then you have to look at the players, the ones that don't really make a lot. It affects them. The owners who already have other businesses, it affects them because their businesses are not pretty much running right now at the moment. So that affects them as well. So that's why the NBA money is affecting them as well. But this is all about the owners anyway. In the long run, it's like these players are getting paid already. It's nuts. I'm gonna make a sports channel where I talk about basketball because I'm smart for my age about that. So I believe that I could give people what I think. Yeah, Hey man, definitely go for it. You know, should let nothing stop you. I mean, I've seen a lot of young YouTubers on here. Again, as long as you again believe in your content, I would love to hear what you got to say, and I would definitely check you out for sure, Maze. Do you know when you're gonna start your? Do you know when you're gonna start your? Is your sports channel just gonna be about basketball, or are you gonna talk about other sports? You should let me know. And G Money, with the way you talk, bro, I feel like you need a channel of your own, my man. No, for real, seriously. Juanetta says, will all the games be broadcast on one platform? Are you saying in terms of the NBA schedule? Uh, well, let's see. They're going to be in the same arena. It probably might be the same platform. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. My guess is probably going to be that the channel that starts with an E network, and then you also have NBA TV. There might be TNT involved. It depends, but there's not a lot of games, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, at the end of the day, the players get what they want, the owners get what they want, and the TV networks get what they want. The fans who would love to come to the arenas, they're not going to be able to get what they want, you know, because they have to stay home to watch these. Unless if they're allowed to go, if businesses start to open again, but even that is going to be a problem because we don't even know how the guidelines are going to be, in terms of social distancing. Jay says players get what they want, owners get what they want. Yep, and I just read that. May says, I'm about to hit 100 on here. I'm at 89. I'm just going to talk about basketball. That's the main thing that I speak about. Perfect. Sounds good, man. I can't wait to get to. I'm already subbed to your channel. So when you get to that 100, you should actually have a little celebration of your own. And then, just get yourself to talk some basketball. So, yeah, 89 subscribers. All right, man. If you guys can, man, help out Maze get to 100 subscribers, man. I would love for you guys to help him get to 100 if you guys can. Subscribe to his channel, and then I would actually love to hear what you got to say in terms of your basketball. May says, I got to get a camera and a laptop, which I will get in about 3 months. And also remember that laptops today have built-in mics as well. Not just built-in mics, obviously, but, they have webcams. So, that's something for you to know. Do you think games will start in the afternoon in the weekdays? I know there are afternoon games in the weekends. That's a very interesting question, and to answer your question, I don't know. That's one of those I don't know questions. The only thing that we do know is that the NBA is returning July 31st. And if I bet my money, I would think that there are going to be day games. But I think the anticipation is because people are at work and stuff, they're probably going to have to start at night. I feel like they're going to start at night. That's just me personally. I think they're going to start at night, but there might be some day games. Fans get sports, enjoy it. Could go back to BSTV. You could. All I gotta say is to the NBA fans, enjoy it. Because a lot of things, because the thing is with the way fans have been, especially where people's minds is at, right now it's like lives don't really matter. Sports do. Which is pretty much engulfing in your mind that the media is telling you that sports, they'll have a way to be able to help move forward, but it's a bunch of garbage because the name of the game is business. Business overrides people. The people in business. Besides, you have to ask yourself, what company does Walt Disney own currently? I'm going to tell you again, it starts with an E. That's all I got to say about that. Jay says, I would do it like Summer League, man, at least for August. Well, it's going to be Summer League anyway. It's going to be like Summer League anyway. May says, I like LeBron as a person, not a basketball player, because of my poor Pacers. Oh, you mean in 2018 when him and the Cavs knocked them off in 7 games? The issue I have, no disrespect to the Indiana Pacers, but LeBron's Cavs were the better team. And they got outplayed for most of that series by Indiana. LeBron and the Cavs had no business letting that series go to 7 games. And the worst part about it is they almost lost it. The Pacers should have won the series considering how the Cavs let them dog them like that throughout those 7 games. Because how they lost was coaching mistakes in the fourth quarter. Coaching mistakes by Nate McMillan cost the Pacers that game 7. And you could even make the case in game 5 also, when the Pacers could have been up 3-2 with game 6 in their house. Yeah, the big three, yeah, that has to be canceled because the big three starts, usually the big three starts in June, and they play from June to August. Yeah, there's no big three because I haven't heard anything at all. Like I haven't even heard about the draft or none of that. And so, yeah, considering that, I think I would say that the big three is, it sounds like it's pretty much done. Let me just let me put the link for Godzilla Suplex. Here he is in the chat. If you guys can go to subscribe to his channel because he also puts up videos as well. He's got some real interesting ones. I mean, if you're into UFC, he's got that. If you like basketball, he does that as well. He does gaming. I think he does football. I have to look at some more of his videos. And let me go to May's channel as well. Whoops, wrong one. Let me go to May's real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna help. So Maze, I'm gonna help you out, man. This is a link to one of his videos, but if you guys can for me, if you haven't, make sure you guys go subscribe to Maze's channel. So the first one was Godzilla Suplex, and this one is Maze. That was the link to one of his videos. So if you could, LeBron is a good dude. Off the court, well, I kind of have an issue with that, especially with what's happened with these protests. I kind of have an issue with that now. So I will say I appreciate what he said about Drew Brees, but Summer League day games for at least August. Understandable. Doc Rivers better come with his A game. I'm telling you right now, and you're absolutely right, one other, because to me, Doc Rivers will get exposed as a coach if he doesn't get it done. If he doesn't get it done, he's gonna get exposed as a coach for me, especially with the talent that he has, the talent and depth he has. Because when you look at the big three, they were only good enough for one championship. They did go to the finals twice, but they were an older team. Paul Pierce, I'm sorry, not Paul Pierce, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are in their prime. Now, you have to question their injuries, but they should be fully healthy, even though Kawhi still has a knee issue, but they should be pretty good to go. And they just got to get practice time. G Money says, yeah, I think Bron is the GOAT sports athlete off the court because he's humble and caring. You know what's so funny? I don't even think he's either one of those things. It's crazy. I try to like him, but he makes it so hard, especially his fans. It's funny because I don't like LeBron as a basketball player, and it's my little brother's middle name because my dad made a bet and said if LeBron won the series, it would be his middle name. I see. Interesting. I'm a gamer. Nice. Being seen on a bike at George Floyd's expense, just trying to put himself out there even more. See, that's my problem because if you guys saw Steph Curry and Aisha Curry, Steph was on Twitter yesterday, and then earlier today in Oakland, him, Klay Thompson, and Aisha Curry not only protested, but they put the fist up and they put their knee. People can say whatever they want about that, but at least with Steph, he was active. Now, people are going to say, well, Steph is just doing that for his brand of armor, Under Armour, whatever. Fine. But the thing is with LeBron is like you continue to see him talk and talk and talk, and I just don't see him. I don't see him leading the charge. Because remember, LeBron says he's Muhammad Ali, and I mentioned that last night. This is one of the reasons why he gets so protected. Like, how are you going to compare yourself to Muhammad Ali, but I never see you leading a charge? The excuse is going to be, well, he does a lot for the community. He talks about social issues. It's one thing to talk, but what are you going to do? If you are supposed to be this guy that Muhammad Ali sacrificed, LeBron has never sacrificed anything in his life. People could say I sound off as a hater, but it's true. Everything you hear LeBron say is off of Twitter fingers online. It's true. Because he makes the most money of any player in the game in basketball. I think it's him or I believe it's Steph. I don't know which one it is, but even Steph making the money he makes, he went to go protest. But then people are going to say, they're going to say, why does he have to protest? So all of a sudden, you call yourself Muhammad Ali, but then you feel like it's not even within, he's not in the right to protest. If this was any other NBA player, they would have gotten criticized. If this was any other NBA player, he would have gotten criticized. Yeah, he's putting himself out there. Doc been exposed as a head coach. His assistants be carrying him. Oh, I know. I'm sorry, man, which is why I just don't low key don't like Doc. I think Braun is in terms of father, that's fine. He's a great dad. He's a great dad. And I'm not saying he hasn't done things for the community, Winetta. It's just my issue is when you're comparing yourself to somebody else, but you don't do the action, that's where my issue is. That's where my issue is. Because the thing is, if you look at the way he dressed up for the I Promise School, when I did a video a couple of, a lot of streams ago, that man has kept acting like he's Muhammad Ali. And it's like, you're not that. You should just say that you spread awareness and that I really don't know that much information and I just do the best I can. But it's like when you try to be somebody, the thing is the spotlight is going to be on you. That's the problem. And that's the problem with that. That's my thing. That's the problem. ESPN, yeah, they never said anything about Jaylen Brown, but how crazy how Jaylen got all those compliments from Charles Barkley to Kendrick Perkins to Isaiah Thomas, Donovan Mitchell. Like he was getting a lot of positive responses from people, but the network decided not to even talk about it. if you go to clutchpoints.com, people that tweeted were giving all this credit, and Magic Johnson also gave credit to Jaylen Brown. So that's my issue. Like if LeBron was out there, he would get much more respect from me. But the thing is, but to be honest with you, LeBron is not the only one. There's a lot of woke celebrities out there that have not done any of this. They haven't done any of it. They have sat back and all they've done is tweeted behind the keyboard, and they haven't gone out and do anything. And I've said it before, they have the resources to help, but they're not going to do that. Shout out to Anthony L. What's good, man? I think said I could get a laptop because I got A's besides one A, I believe. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Congratulations on the A's, man. Congratulations on the A's. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I think I'm going to stop the stream for tonight. Make sure that you guys pull up tomorrow. Let me just check what's on my lineup for tomorrow. We're going to talk about LeBron ripping Drew Brees for his comments about the American flag and why he says nobody should be disrespecting the American flag in his personal opinion. And we also have the Orlando Magic as well. So we're going to do that video. And I'm hoping I could get, everybody on a big number with that one with Orlando on what they could do to be better. And obviously, what their situation in making the playoffs. I might have to change that race for 8th video since I've already talked about the NBA season returning. I'm going to have to change that video to something else. And then obviously we have the greatest baseball dynasty to only win one World Series in the Atlanta Braves. So I have that. And I'm also going to come up with a future video on baseball with the MLB canceling the 114th season proposal. What's good? What's good? I heard that, that Floyd is Mayweather is paying for the funeral of George Floyd. So G Money, if you're saying that it's fun, then why you been saying? So then why did you say that you would have seen it in Seattle if you're happy that it's back? I just said to just appreciate that it's back. So that's all it is, man. Quite frankly, at this point, I don't even really care. At this point, I just want this to get this over with. So, whoever wins out of this, whatever. Damn, it's crazy though that they have a long way to go though. We still have over a month, well over a month before this happens. And Juanetta says both the Splash Brothers have been out there. Yeah, they have. They have. Both of them have been out there. But you ain't hear nothing. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank everybody for coming through tonight for this stream. I think that, you guys, once again, hold it down. You guys were great. And I know there hasn't been a lot of people just due to the, obviously due to the protests and stuff, but I want to thank everybody for coming through and definitely want to get a panel. Actually, I'm actually going to change the video of the race for 8th. And I think I'm going to go with G Money's idea. I have a couple. I have the 10 greatest playoff runs in NBA history. I'm going to do the one that G Money talked about, where we're taking bronze competition with MJ's competition and put them against each other. I think that's a very interesting video. So that was a good idea, G Money. And you're saying that the Warriors' 5-year NBA Finals run is over. I don't know what you're talking about because I didn't mention the Warriors. I was pretty much talking about the idea that you were proposing. I said the 10 greatest playoff runs. These are 10 teams that had the greatest playoff runs in NBA history. That's what I was talking about for the video. And I was saying that your idea on taking bronze competition against Jordan's competition for their NBA Finals and putting them up against each other, I thought that was really a good idea. I think we can have a panel for that. So I want to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming from the Louis Sports Network. This is your boy Louis with another one, telling you, as always, be safe, everyone. Bless up, live, laugh, love. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Peace. Thank you for being a part of the stream. And as always, as I always like to say on the Louis Sports Network, like, share the videos, subscribe to the channel, and as always, shout out to the LSN Mod Squad. We chat together, we stream together, fan for life. Have a great night.